Well, hi there, racing fans, and welcome to another edition of Winning Ways, where we've got a hell of a show in line for us, and it's fantastic to see you in such a good mood.
Very good mood, very good mood. Had a second on the poly.
Yeah, 4-0.
Oh, fantastic. Top of the log, Spurs, yeah. The Man United boys are still struggling.
Struggling? Have you seen their faces this morning at track? You should see those Man United, Samuel, and a couple of those supporters, Man United.
They all believe they're entitled to win games, but it's a tough league, and it's going to be a hard league, and we've seen it. But I'm pleased with our start. I know my Neil Andrews, Graham Hawkins, Joe Soma, all good Spurs supporters. They'll all be pleased at this stage, James.
Okay, well, we're not giving Spurs as one of our three to follow, but let's go and have a look at what we got. Right, the first one we go to, Turfentine, 1,600 metres. Ormond Ferraris stepped out a very nice Sunnet Master. Let's go and have a look at Masterly.
Yeah, Masterly is a nicely bred horse. There was a smattering of, a touch of support for it, because the hot favourite was Hayaku from the Sean Terry stable, and that was ridden by Pierre Stradham, who had one of those red-lettered days. He bounced home about 5 winners, and he gets Hayaku into the race quickly. But you'll see in Michael de Brolio's colours, not far off the speed, possibly in 5th there, with a bit of a white blaze or snip, is Waishong on this horse. And James, this looks like it just needs a bit of experience.
Well, Boy goes to the front, the Paul Peters runner, and Hayaku sits just in behind it. Stradham rode absolutely at his best. In fact, there are 2 jockeys in South Africa who are looking different class at the moment. One is Striker Stradham, the other we'll talk about later. But this horse is sitting 5th with a white face, and he looks like he's in a perfect position, but he just doesn't know what to do in the straight. He's got no idea.
That's right. Beautifully bred horse for a successful owner in Michael de Brolio, from a top yard, a top rider. And I think this horse just needs a bit of experience, and will be one to follow. The favourite wins the race, and that's beautifully placed by Pierre Stradham in 3rd. Set Soul for home, and I think the runner-up is a horse called Confabulate, who's in 2nd year.
Well, the one we picked up, Masterly's got the white face. He's now in 4th on the inside, one off the inside. And he's just really not getting on with the job. He looks like he's got great action, and Waishong's rushing him along now. Get going. And he's pulls the stick back into the right hand. He still doesn't know what's going on. It looks like he's going to run 5th or 6th now. And then you'll see he just actually gets the hang of it now. Now suddenly he says, okay, I got the picture, and runs a very, very good race.
Yeah, be with him. Be with that horse, definitely. Right, let's go look at our second one, James.
Right, the next one we're going to go and have a look at is at Kenilworth. And not often you get 5-year-old mares stepping out and having a go in their maidens, but this is a mare that might well be worth watching. She wasn't the first back in South Africa, and he's won 7.
That's fantastic.
It's an unbelievable strike.
He's really a polished, accomplished rider. My apprentice, James.
Well, I was going to say that you can put it all down to your tutelage, But
my tutelage.
Him and Zahn Thompson, the 2 top boys that came out of your
Sean
yard.
Cormack.
Sean Cormack.
Sean
Cormack came to you when he was really battling.
Yeah, Brandon Lorena, Sean Cormack, they were my apprentices. And this guy here, Carice Eaton, always had the potential. His first winner was for me. His first 10 wins, 8 of them were for me. And I'm pleased he's gone on to be a top rider. And that's a fabulous strike rate, James.
Unbelievable. Let's go and pick up St Mary's in this Kenilworth down the straight. And this was a very good win.
Yeah, they get the horse into the race early. And it's an Irish mare for Brett Crawford, for Wilgebosdrift. You'll see Mary's colours going up with the speed. And the hot favourite is, I think, finishes 3rd. Never really gets a blow on the front too. And this horse, I think, even though, as James says, a 5, it's got a lot of toothpaste left in the tube, this horse, and will win races.
Well, what you've got to remember is it's actually 6 months behind us. It was fold down Northern Hemisphere time, 30th of April. So this filly's mare has obviously taken a bit of time, Holy Roman Emperor out of a Pennencamp mare, and she's still green, but she's lobbing along in front, not really under any pressure at all. And the favorite is a stable companion, Helene, in the main chance colors in the yellow and black, and she's under big pressure now, Helene.
Yeah. The runner-up looms up, and for you think that for all intents and purposes, the runner-up is going to win. It's come up in a hands ride in Hassan Adams' colours. But then Carice asks St. Mary to quicken again, and just here I thought, well, St. Mary's done her dash. She led from the front, going to get run out of it. But look at this response here, James.
This mare, as she is now in South African terms, probably go on and win a couple of races.
Yeah.
So she beat the rest pretty easily.
Holy Roman Empress, a very good stallion.
Okay, we're going to go to the third one, and you couldn't miss this if you watched Gravel on the poly track yesterday. We go to the Dean Caname Inmate Dynastic. Let's go and have a look at him at the start.
Yeah, they're touted to be a very decent horse, and they thought to win this race, but unfortunately walks out of the gate. That's where the race is lost. Kevin Shea tries to give it the hurry up after getting left, and you know, it's got a few lengths to find, James.
I tell you, Kevin Shea must have had his happy pills, because I've never seen him so animated and so strong, and so like he really, he got a bump there from Scott Snog. Scott Snog, well named, Mike the Cox horse.
What's it out of Smooch?
Mike Gildonan out of Smooch.
That's
so
right.
Scott Snog. It actually ran a very good race. It's worth having a look at as well.
Yeah, that just once further. That's also in this race. But there you can see it in, on the outside in the yellow and black colours, trying to get into the race. The winner is in third, and that's got the blue body with the gold sleeves and gold cap. And that's also got a strange name. Simon Kong was the area that Nick and the King were fishing, were trout fishing. And he said, we've got to name a horse. They bought it off the phone. They told Michael Roberts to bid, and they bought this horse named off the area they were fishing, Simon Kong. But look at the runner-up, Camino Hamir, Dynastic.
Well, I thought Brandon Lorena had a great race on the winner, and Kevin Shea throwing everything he can at Dynastic, but just not getting there. The bob of the heads it was. And this certainly looks like a very, very nice horse. Look at him, he's a bit green there at the
You can't give start, James.
No,
you know that.
no.
You can't give start.
No. Anyway, so those are the three to follow. They look pretty good. We're going to have a bit of fun today. We've got a couple of real celebrities in the studio as far as your call's concerned. We've got Ralph Katzwinkel. He's going to be talking to us about the operation on Jet Explorer, the horse that broke his jaw at Clearwood of Snace. Yeah. And then we've got Graham Hawkins, the racing executive of Gold Circle, coming to talk to us about a whole lot of latest development. But before that, we've had such a wonderful response to those old Julys. We've got the 1972 July. Have a look at this and see if you can remember what happened here.
July the 1st, 1972, the 75th running of the July Handicap. 3/4 of a century in which 75 winners have been cheered home by Mr. South Africa and his wife, not to mention every Tom, Dick and Harry Oppenheimer. Many famous personalities have graced the Greyville course over the years. Many of them. Henry VIII. He laid the odds on 6 fillies. And Henry's wife, Anne Boleyn, and Henry's daughter, Henrietta, good lunch in the members. The very first July was attended by Sharker. And who alive can remember Davy Crockett's visit? He's got young blood, but he keeps it in an old container. From Alice in Wonderland, Tweedledum, and her sister, Tweedledee. Yes, they are twins. A more recent remembrance is the old stand. A stand which no longer stands, except for standing room only. No one remembers the future stand. Or Ernie Duffield on his first commentary. And here's a previous July. Can you identify the winner? It was 1958 when Tiger Fish was beaten on the post by Excise. And here's another July. What year? 1965. And the winner on the outside with black cap. The consolation for the Tiger Fish stable, King Willow. And here's one of the most exciting July finishes ever, the year 1967. The lightweight Jollify on the rails, dead heating with the top weight, the one and only Sea Cottage. And this July is, well, Sid Led could tell you. Last year, 1971, the mighty Mazarin spread eagles the field. And now in 1972, they come in battalions to see if Mazarin can do it again. Some arrive in hot pants, a fashion which has advanced sex some 20 years. They may be floating the pound, but this outfit sank a few rands. These orphans took a wrong turn from the seafront when looking for the dodgems. And here's the new betting innovation, the triple. Note the eye on the right. It has to see the dress through to next season. This outfit turned more heads than halitosis. And if you like the wide open spaces, boy, you should see the back. Talking about wide open spaces, this cowgirl looked in to vet all the dumb animals, but most of them were lining up at the early tote queues. And bargains in red. And it's tough luck when you have to hurry back home because Twiggy in the middle got her leg stung by a bluebottle. Oh, I see you're back again. And it suits you right down to the ground. Anyway, never wear it back to front. Beautiful hat this. Looks like a well-tended grave. Yoo-hoo, yes, I see you, Granny. Our new female police officer handcuffs a man found with money and charged with impersonating a bookmaker. And the Spanish ambassador marks the card of the Mexican consul. These two imagined they were coupled on the tote. And how's this for a colorful tip? In full flight hat, Uncle Tom's pants and Force 10 boots. The film people sent a couple of girls to represent screen successes. There's Lawrence of Arabia and Next Stop Macaulay. And this pair's a little previous. They're the 1820 settlers who don't realize that settling day's on Monday. It's 15 minutes to race time. The conversation is horses, jockeys, and their performances. It's agreed that breeding isn't everything, but it's lots of fun. And the bets are on. Change, it says, but the jockeys have already changed, and here they come into the ring. Little men with big responsibilities. Mr. and Mrs. Schimmel, Jockey Ferreira in the applause colors. Trainer Coetzee, Zurcher riding Minbridge, and Mike Roberts for Gideon. The connections of Uncle Tom with good luck wishes for Jockey Burns. Mr. and Mrs. Hurwitz instruct Freddie Rickaby, little knowing his aide is tuned to Springbok. George Azzy's going to blow something out, if only his nose. Trainer Breville and Benny Little in Angelina's colors. Johnny Corkett for Force 10 with assistant trainer Trevor Botton. Kingsguard's family, Mr. and Mrs. Jaffe, trainer Willie Klebb, jockey Bert Abercrombie, and Chinook's connection. Mr. Tenderini, Mazarin's owner, rider Bert Hayden, to whom Sid led, signaling it's home and ride. And out they go for the parade, Mazarin, Bert Hayden up. Chichester, Johnny McCready. Force 10, Johnny Corkett. Chinook, Roy Curling. Minbridge, Zurcher. Applause, Ferreira. Kingsguard, Bert Abercrombie. Uncle Tom, Joe Burns. In full flight, Raymond Rhodes. Peddler, Marty Skumman. And Mr. Oppenheimer doffs his hat to his beautiful sweetheart, Angelina, Benny Little up. Home Truth, Curtis. Salaman, M. Cavey. Potent Power, Kennedy. Storm Signal, Garth Fuller. Bambera, I. Boyson. And Hideon, Michael Roberts. And they parade onto the course to send a charge of high-powered excitement through 60,000 racegoers, a record crowd that sent a record 2 million plus rands through the tote. Top-weight Mazarin, looking a picture, leads the canter down, followed by Chichester, Force 10, Chinook, Minbridge, Applause, Kingsguard, Peddler leading in full flight, though they came back differently, Angelina, Salaman, Potent Power, Home Truth, Storm Signal, Gideon with Uncle Tom bringing up the rear. It was a high-quality field with all nerves strung to shrieking point. Well, almost all. The bell, and they're away to a good start. In Full Flight was one of the first to show, and others breaking the line were Salomon, Gideon, Potent Power, Uncle Tom, Chinook, Force 10, King's Guard with Mazarin about 8. Slow into their early strides were Peddler, Minbridge, Bambera, and Angelina. Leaders up the hill to the drill hall were Salomon and Gideon, showing the way to In Full Flight, a forward-moving Peddler, Force 10, and Chichester. Behind the drill hall, Salomon and Gideon headed the procession. Then came In Full Flight, Peddler, Force 10, King's Guard, Chichester, Potent Power, and Uncle Tom. At this point, Mazarin was lying tenth on the rails. Coming down the hill with about a third of the distance covered, Salomon galloped a length ahead of Gideon. Some 2.5 lengths behind came an easy-going In Full Flight, followed by Peddler, King's Guard, Force 10, Potent Power, Chichester, and the favorite Mazarin lying ninth, boxed on the rails but full of running. Then came Uncle Tom, Applause, Home Truth, Storm Signal, Bambera, Chinook, and the final pair being Angelina and Minbridge. On the stretch between the bends, there was little change in running order. The likes of In Full Flight, Peddler, King's Guard, and Force 10 allowed Salomon and Gideon to act as trailblazers on sufferance. Potent Power and Chichester were still traveling well. Bambera had moved up from 14th to 8th, just in front of Mazarin, and Angelina was working her way up through the rear sections of the field. Mazarin was still penned on the rails, lying ninth and galloping close on Chichester's heels, with Uncle Tom outside Mazarin. And they took the final bend in procession, Salomon carrying the banner, Gideon falling back, then In Full Flight, Peddler and King's Guard and Force 10. They'd done over a mile by now. It was time for In Full Flight to quit, since a mile is his limit, they say. And coming off the false rail into the straight, In Full Flight went past Salomon without so much as a by or leave. So Peddler, King's Guard, and Force 10 did likewise. Bambera and Angelina were beginning to do their best work, coming forward to 7th and 8th positions. And here's a long shot of the run for home. In Full Flight, justifying his name, showing a clean pair of heels to Peddler, King's Guard, and Force 10, whose jockeys were patiently waiting for In Full Flight to blow a gasket or run out of puff. In the straight, Mazarin, free for the first time, made a great effort to produce his usual powerful finish. He flattered for a short run, then found the requirement too much. If In Full Flight is deficient in stamina, someone should have told the horse. But thinking it was only a mile, he cruised home a winner, completely ignoring the efforts of King's Guard and Peddler to defeat him. A fluent win for a truly remarkable 3-year-old. The result, In Full Flight, confidently ridden by Raymond Rhodes, from King's Guard, Peddler, and Angelina. Starting price 5-1, time 2 minutes 15.2 seconds. And here's In Full Flight with his proud owner, Mr. Norman Ferguson, and his 2 sons, the blonde-headed David Fane, to whom all training credit is due. To keep In Full Flight tuned up for so many successes without going over the top is a feat of exceptional skill. To the owner, the stake; to the champion, of course, the elegant Rothman's July sash. And the admiration, too, of the country's entire racing community. Mr. and Mrs. Dennis Mosenthal, who were third with Peddler, were also second last year with Home Truth, and previously second twice and third with Radlington. There's no truth in the rumor that the July is to be retitled the Mosenthal Consolation Stakes. However, since we've shown you in this filmic record the present and the past, hereby courtesy of the Crystal Ball Computer Corporation, witness the finish of next year's July when the Mosenthal colors win a short head from Guess Who?
Well, that was the beginning of a great training career for David Payne, who's in Australia now and still doing very well.
Very well. He hasn't got a big string and he wonderful training feet. And he said if he'd had In Full Flight when he was an older trainer, he would have done a better job. He said he was just very, very new and green, and this was just a great horse.
Great horse. We'll be back with Plum of the Week.
Heart of Winter gallops at the 300. Now Marceline, you'll see the rider just looks to the left-hand side, and this means business now. Marceline comes forward with total authority. She's got Heart of Winter beat, and the rest of them making no impression late, and it's all Marceline. The rider looks both ways. A handful of fresh, eager horse. There's the seal of approval by 5. Heart of Winter is going to probably just last for second. Then came Moonlight Most, Iconic Dream behind these, and Grecian Muse. But it's all...
Well, even the Maritzburg champion punter, Dees Dynan, tipped this to win and said get the money in the first race at Greyville on the poly track. And 2 weeks ago we said this next time it runs, wherever it runs.
This is back until beaten stuff. This was an incredible win. And Dees is a Durban boy now.
Is he a Durban boy now? Okay, well, listen, he was the ex-Maritzburg champion, but this filly you could have got 4 to 10 on Interbet. She ended up starting 1 to 5 with your local bookmakers. She was the start of all the doubles and trebles on the Greyville poly track, and what a winner. We think maybe you should follow her till she gets beaten, this filly. She's very, very good. Let's go and have a look what we've got in current affairs.
Want to get the best odds on horse racing and sporting events? For every bet requested, we review all the bookmakers and select the one with the best odds. As a result, you always get the best odds. Interbet offers tote betting, fixed odd multiples, and betting with your mobile phone. To get started, all you need to do is register by filling in your personal information. Log into your account and start wagering.
Welcome to another edition of Current Affairs. Again, no stakes racing around the country here. We're building up for the Joburg and Cape Town seasons. They're coming along. But internationally, arguably the best horse in the world, Australia, took his chances in the Juddmonte International. And the trainer, Aidan O'Brien, had said that this is possibly the best horse he's ever trained. So we thought we'd like to have a look at that race, James. And he's a very good horse.
Oh, he absolutely trotted up. He trotted up in the Derby, unbeaten. He's the best horse since Frankel.
Yeah, he is the best horse since Frankel. And they're campaigning him short of 2,400 now, so they'd rather come down to 1.25 miles. They want to do that. They said it's a much better selling feature for their stallions. And let's go and have a look at the Juddmonte International Stakes at York.
And they're off and racing for the 2014 Juddmonte International over this extended 1.25 miles. Australia's being dropped in. Mukadram is out in front, a little bit keen in the early stages, taken on now by Kingfisher and the white cap on the rail. And then back in third is A-Rod with Telescope on his outside. The Grey Gatsby and Australia, winners of 3 derbies between them, are restrained at the back of the field as the runners head off down the far side towards the mile start. So Kingfisher out in front here in the hands of Shamie Heffernan, leads from Mukadram, who's settling a bit better now as the race develops. On the inside then is A-Rod in the hands of Jamie Spencer, followed by Telescope and Ryan Moore, and the Grey Gatsby, Richard Hughes on board the grey on the inside there of the Derby winner Australia, and Joseph O'Brien right down to his minimum weight to ride here this afternoon as they approach the 6 furlong marker. Starting to swing left-handed down the side of the course now. Kingfisher still the leader. Mukadram and Paul Hannigan has got him in his sights on the outside. He's a length away in second place. A-Rod and Telescope in third and fourth. And still looking on from the back there, both the Grey Gatsby and Australia racing stride for stride as they turn in towards the home straight now. Just over ½ mile left to travel here in the Juddmonte International. Kingfisher still the leader. Mukadram on the outside getting closer. A-Rod up the inside. Telescope just being asked now to pick up and lengthen his stride. The Grey Gatsby is just following him through, and then comes Australia. Joseph O'Brien asking him now to pick up on the outside as the runners hurtle down the home straight here at the Knavesmire. 2.5 furlongs to go. Mukadram just about strikes the front here from Telescope. Telescope. Here on the near side comes Australia. Over on the far side is A-Rod. The Grey Gatsby will be leaving it late. Mukadram is under pressure and wilts. Here comes Australia on the outside, takes over. The Grey Gatsby is trying to chase him down. Telescope battling on for the placings on the inside, but it's Australia and Joseph O'Brien in front inside the final furlong here, and the Derby winner is going to storm home and win the Juddmonte International pretty comfortably in the end. Australia too good for the Grey Gatsby. Telescope was third, Mukadram, then A-Rod.
There we go, the champion himself. What a pedigree. Galileo at a Ouija board, it was by Cape Cross. So it's a fantastic pedigree, and pedigree works. James, big horse. Will he go Breeders' Cup? Too tight?
You know, it's always interesting to see where they're going to go with a horse like him. The Arc would be the natural race,
that's
wouldn't
what I
it?
would have thought, the Arc.
That's where you want to go to make yourself into the best horse around.
Yeah, very interesting. So great to see that a lot of big racing still coming up with this horse, showing what a good horse he is. And right, some local news. Let's start firstly with Singapore. Theo Kiza.
That's very local, Singapore, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about where I grew up. And Theo Kiza, his 100th winner, very good.
Nice for Theo Kiza. He's a really, really good guy.
Yeah.
We keep, in touch with him when we go to Australia and see him there. He's a great guy. And he's battled through the.
That's right.
Was a farrier and assistant trainer.
He worked for Dick Goss for a time. He went and worked for the Clements. He worked for a few people, and he got his break, and he became successful with young horses. Yeah. And now it's really going well for him. He's had his 100th winner. So well done to Theo Kiza, a local lad. Other news, James, let's talk about Duke of Marmalade, who's out here now. 16th stake winner this weekend.
Yeah, Duke of Marmalade's a huge acquisition for Drockenstein. And he had a season in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia. He stood at Coolmore, a really big horse, And well worth having a look at the Duke of Marmalade that he's arrived here. I think it's fantastic.
We're getting a wonderful band of stallions. When they brought over horses like Twice Over, and now they've had Crusade, they've had I think it was National Tune this week. They're having all these stallion days for some top horses, and all around the country people are still bringing in some lovely pedigreed horses.
Well, we need them because that's the only thing that improves the breed, and we've got a reputation worldwide of producing fantastic racehorses.
Yeah.
And the only way we can produce fantastic racehorses is to have the blood.
A lot of good horses coming in, and let's talk about horses going out. And one that comes to mind is the old Bloodstock SA horse Shay Shay.
Yeah, he was R500,000 horse on Bloodstock South Africa's national yearling sales, and he's retired. Mike decided to retire him. They said that he was having real bleeding issues. And the wonderful thing about his retirement is Joffy's, Burzak, and Mike and Jessica Slack have arranged for him to go to Maritzfontein. So he goes and stands in the paddocks of Maritzfontein. He'll have a lovely time there.
Fantastic. It's been a very good horse for us.
In amongst the Blessbok and the Springbok.
That's right, and the other books.
Yeah.
Jamie Spencer at the same time is retired. He's going to go work for Qatar Racing.
Yeah, well, he's been riding for them, for Qatar Racing, and he's now going to be one of the spokesmen for Qatar Racing. It's amazing. He's only 34, Jamie Spencer, and you would have thought that he would have carried on, but he just looked like, he's
tired.
Wants to move on. He's been at it since he
was 15. You can always come back.
Yeah,
you can always come back, freshen up. If you
and
can keep the weight off.
I'd take even money. He will be back.
Yeah, just the main thing is, I suppose the jockeys are under pressure, keeping their weight down. It's a tough job. But Michael de Kock stepped out a couple of horses. Did you watch him, James?
Friday, Newmarket. And to win at headquarters, those maiden plates are strong.
Yeah.
In fact, probably the strongest maiden plates in the country. We've got all the top guys. I saw that the hot favourite in the one horses, the one that had run
against
Baton,
it was 1-2.
Was one of Syed bin Sarur's horses, or Appleby's.
Yes.
It was in the Boys and Blues horses, Godolphin's horse, and Mike's horse absolutely cantered past it. But nice to see Patsy Cosgrave. He had such a hard time with Stewarts and the Emirates, and he ended up having a 3-timer on the day. Mike had a double. He rode both Mike's horses.
He's a wonderful lad, and he rode these 2 horses. Tanoff, who's by High Chaparral out of a Daniel Dancer mare, very well bred.
That was a first timer, which is very interesting, because he stepped at our first time. I think it was a mile, and down the straight there at Newmarket, this horse won well, and Mike said on his website that this might be a classic horse. So
Excellent.
Great to see the wheels rolling.
And then Baton, the other one. You know, James, when I won the Group 1 and Gold Cup Day, one of the first phone calls I got was from Paddy Cosgrave. He was watching overseas and heard this Irish voice, laugh. I thought, who's this? Paddy Cosgrave, gentleman. So well done to him. He's bouncing on it. Well done to Michael de Kock, stepping out some very nasty bred horses. Baton's out of Cape Cross, is by Cape Cross, out of Inchmore mare. I don't know the mare.
Inchmore, yeah.
Yeah,
Inchmore. He's quite a good broodmaster.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So well done to them. What have you got from America?
America, you know, there's at Saratoga, the Spa, and the big race is the Travers over the weekend. And Jimmy Jerkins, Alan Jerkins' son. Now, Alan Jerkins, I knew he was a polo player who was a very, very good racehorse trainer. And he never won the Travers, never ever won the Travers. He was second a couple of times. His son has now won it twice in 4 years. He won it in 2010 with a Fleet Express, and he ran first and second this year, Jimmy Jerkins. They say he's one of the new kids on the block, one of the top trainers there. Fantastic win for him.
Very, very good.
You know, he won with a horse called VE Day and ran second with Wicked Strong. Well, Wicked Strong was a horse that was fancied to win the Kentucky Derby. So obviously both quite good horses. And the other horse that made a big impression over the weekend was the Big Beast, won the King's Bishop, which is the big sprint there. 7 furlongs, they call it a sprint. This will be the favourite for the Breeders' Cup Sprint, I would have thought.
What's it called? Big Beast?
The Big Beast.
The Big Beast. They come with some great names there.
Yeah. It's by Yes It's True.
Yes, it's true.
You know, that's a proper American pedigree, and he'll be going on the dirt at the Breeders' Cup. The other big winner in France was the Prix Mornay, was won by a Star Spangled Banner colt.
What a start. What a start.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The Wow Signal is what it's called.
That's right.
So,
James, one other thing, Dubai have just announced their dates, you know, for the carnival, because I know we always follow Michael de Kock and whoever gets out there from our side of the world. From the, it's going to be from the 20th of January to the big night, which is the
8th of January to the 28th of...
I've got 20th, maybe, it's 8th, you're right, correct.
8th of January.
Apologies, 8th.
I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea,
No,
because
there's a carnival for big money. And how much is the stake money over the carnival?
In excess of the GDP of English racing.
In excess of $38 million will be handed out at the carnival. Wonderful, James.
That's the prize money.
Yes.
They're amazing. And they have all types of incentives, you know, if you take horses there.
All the way through there. And you get into big races, they will support you. So let's have Michael de Kock's getting a very good string, and anybody else. We saw Joey send, we've seen Sean Terry send, and...
sad news, we've lost a couple of real racing doyens in the last week.
Yeah, the first one being Matthew McGilligan, past chairman, worked on the Jockey Club boards, and I read Bill Lambert's report on him, and he said a great guy, a man who got racing going in the right direction, and will be sadly missed, Matthew McGilligan.
Yeah, he was in the late 70s, he was a chairman here, and he was a fantastic guy, and Tony Finesse trained for him.
That's right.
I think that they had a bit of success.
A bright boy, an accountant, got a degree at Harvard, so well done to him. The other one is David Cavey. Now, David Cavey came from the Cavey family of brothers, and as you know, Michael was a great rider. Gary, I knew Gary very well as well, so our condolences go to David. He always had a smile on his face, always a joke on his lips, and a very, very funny man, so sad to see him go. So those are our two deaths that are unfortunate that happened this last week.
Now, the last thing is what's going on in this world, no one knows, okay? There are people having buckets of ice thrown over them for some charity, which I think that's wonderful. But really, you know, I think the guy who did it on ESPN last night, Jim Vance or whatever his name is, Jimmy Vance, you know, the golf commentator, in his suit, you know, that's how it should be done. But unfortunately, we've got one reprobate amongst us who went through the ice bucket challenge. Let's have a look at it.
The the ALS Challenge, the ice bucket over the head, and I'm challenging all trainers and presenters out there to do the same thing. There's a website that you can donate to a good cause. The ice challenge is very good.
Well, that certainly shrunk the manhood. Did you need the tweezers afterwards?
No,
the pepper spray?
I remember when the ice was going and I was looking at the water and thinking, it's dissolving quickly. This won't be that cold. Whoa, slay me down. That was ice cold.
Yeah.
And one of my head boys couldn't have enjoyed it more. Put his silks on it through.
But I see you challenged everyone to do this.
Yeah, I want the presenters to do it, and of course the female presenters to make sure they put a few garments on because it could be revealing.
Yeah, you'd hate to have the Miss Wet T-shirt competition amongst the female presenters.
Right, you know, I'd like to see Molly with his glasses on, those rose-tinted ones.
Don't throw Molly a challenge. Molly will do it.
Molly, the boy from Halifax.
He will do it. The one I'm worried about is Shaheen Shaw. He might not do it, you know. And then a couple of those guys that have got, rugs. It's not very good when you're wearing a rug.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up. We're going to call it a day as far as current affairs. Do you have to butt in the whole time?
Yeah, I just want to get on to Ralph and talk about what he did.
We're going to be chatting to Ralph, and we're going to be chatting to Graham Hawkins, the racing executive of Gold Circle, on some very interesting topics. So we think that you'll enjoy it. And from me, until next time, have a great week's racing.
Right, welcome to this edition of Your Call. We've got two people we'll be talking to. We're talking to Dr. Ralph Katzwinkel, who's going to talk about the surgery he did after Jet Explorer fell a few months back to get the horse back on track. And he's the vet that invests, and he'll tell us about his success as an owner. And then we're speaking to Graham Hawkins, who will be telling us where we're going with our tracks at the moment. But Ralph, thanks very much for coming in. The vet that invests. You've always owned horses.
Thanks, Paul. Yes, I started in '95, and so it's 19 years now that I've had. And in the beginning, it was just a little share here and there, and it's really since 2010 that I've put a bit more investment into shares and horses. And this racing year that's just ended now, I've just had the most unbelievable good fortune. I had 11 winners, 9 seconds, and 11 thirds.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You got all your stats. What are your stats? How many horses have you raced, put it that way?
48, and I've had 430 runners in those 19 years.
Okay.
And
how many winners?
43 winners.
That's very good.
43 winners. And if I take first, second, third positions, I had a 30.7% success rate.
That's fantastic. And you got them spread with a few trainers, so
yeah.
you're having fun, and you're putting it back in. And obviously your best horse is your Group 1 winner this year.
Well, that was a cherry on the cake. Duncan Howells just said to me early on, he said, do you want to get involved? And I've had horses with him that haven't done so well, and then he said, yeah, he thinks it's a good filly. And what she's done has just been mind-blowing. To experience that, and I think you've done that now on Gold Cup Day as well, it's just, that's the greatest feeling that you can imagine.
Yeah.
And for doing nothing other than investing in a horse, really, and it's it comes as a surprise. It comes as a real, genuine.
Yeah, it is a surprise, and it's a wonderful feeling. It doesn't just finish that day. It lasts and lasts.
Yeah.
The better the horse, the longer the feeling. But let's go and have a look at. Ralph got involved with saving Jet Explorer, who had a terrible fall. We're going to show you part of the race, and the film cuts away as he loses his balance, and then we're going to talk about what was done after the race. Let's have a look at the race.
Sets. Amber comes starting clear. They're on their way in the rising sun. Gold challenge of R1 million, and Beach Beauty overcomes the draw. Beach Beauty's off to the lead. Silver Age is right there shortly after the start. Then comes King of Pain. Yorker, the big white blazers near the rail. On the outside, Pomodora, that's got the red cap. Rio Carnival. Beach Beauty is now settled about 3 lengths off the leader. Then comes White Line Fever, followed by Jet Bell. Jet Bell's racing about 6 lengths off the leader. There's no pace on as King of Pain sets the fractions. Astro News is on the outside, and Cape Town was...
There, we just catch it at the back, and the Divine Silks. You can see the white cap, it clips heels and goes down. Now, Ralph, you were called in. What did you find when you got there?
It was a day that I was actually at the races. Target 5 and Air Patrol
Had
ran earlier in the day, and Air Patrol beat Target 5, both Jet Masters. And then after the race, I was there with Pat and Henry Devine, and we were chatting, and they said, well, they hope they're going to have success with their runners. And I was actually about to leave the course, and then Justin phoned, and we'd both seen the race, but I didn't know that it was Jet Explorer that had fallen. Anyway, I got the call, and then Rob Crosley, the Jockey Club vet, was already examining the Jet Explorer. And we could see, and we'll see from the slides now, that there was a fracture to the lower mandible.
Let's have a look at the and here, this is a shocking break, not for the squeamish. It's sort of broken down the middle here, Ralph.
Yeah, what had really happened is that he fractured his lower jaw down the middle.
Okay, if we can just come in on that, if you can just lift that up into view, we'll pick that off the camera. So it's quite evident there.
So if we look here, let me just see if I can
turn it around towards me. I think. Yeah, that's right. You've got a black line there.
If we can look, I'll take the upper jaw out the way there. So we had a split down the middle between the incisors, and then a fracture on either side through the mandible. So there were 2 distinct pieces.
And severe discomfort for the horse.
Yeah, shock and discomfort. And then the other fracture that we only discovered after further examination at the hospital was that he broke right across the maxilla as well. So the whole upper jaw here was broken.
There now, can we just go back to show the public the black line that you've got here on the upper jaw? There it is. There. That
broke right across this.
What kept it together? Just sinews or?
Well, there's quite a bit of muscle, and there's quite a bit of tissue holding that in position.
So you found this horse with things really in a poor state at Clarewood.
At the races. So
let's have a quick look at this next slide or two that you got, Ralph, before you tell us what you did. Here is another slide. Now, Ralph, what is this?
That's just showing how the fracture line went down the middle between the front incisors, and it was actually split right down the center.
Yeah, sure, you can see it. And now this horse is heavily sedated while you're working with him?
Yeah, what the call was really is, because he'd run, and most importantly, because his upper jaw, the top and the bottom, were both unstable, to put him through a general anesthetic and try and repair it, the risk of refracturing and recovery was so high.
Yes.
So I made the decision to do the whole procedure standing, and that is probably what makes it...
Did you put him in a crush? Or?
Correct. He was in a crush, and then, this is a team effort. I've had Dr. Sean Miller was helping, my nurse was helping. I mean, this is
You need your team there now.
6 o'clock in the evening, the horse came in, we were operating for 2 hours.
Did you ship him up?
We shipped him up. So
heavily sedated, Ralph, just for the public out there?
Dr. Rob Crosley gave them the emergency treatment, and then when he got to the hospital, I obviously did the thorough examination, realized that it was a lot worse than initially seen.
Yeah.
And remember, or nobody really knows, but Jet Explorer, you can't examine outside the box. You can't trot him and touch him. He goes berserk. So there was no chance to examine him at the races.
Yes.
The proper examination took place at the hospital. And I thought I'd overcommitted myself. When I just thought one piece had broken away. When I realized how bad the fracture was, I got a bit of a fright.
Were there more slides, Ralph?
Yeah.
Okay, this is not sure. Now there's wires. What are those red things?
Those red lines are just indications where the fracture lines were.
Okay.
And the wires are really the stabilizing wires that are used in stabilizing the fracture.
You had to drill?
Yeah, and that is, I think, I've repaired fractured jaws under general anesthetic. The technique is not that difficult, but to do it standing, I think, is a challenge. And the wires in the lower part of the jaw, let me take the upper jaw off.
Yeah, put that down there.
Working on the lower part of the jaw and wiring this together, putting little wires around and fixing this part up. What I did is wired these two teeth together, and then the canine teeth, and absent in this horse, I wired those together. So we had a little bridges of wire going around there. But the bad fracture was obviously this one.
So how did you keep that stable?
Well, the only way to do that was really to bring wires in from the back going forward. So the technique I used was, the horse was now sedated, and you won't believe it, but you cut a hole through the cheek. So you feel the gap.
Yes.
You feel the gap. You cut a hole through the cheek with a scalpel blade, and then you literally line this up and you drill.
What is the little attachment you put on there? To steady it, or?
No, this little guide is just to stop the drill bit getting caught up in the tissue.
Okay.
So you've made your incision through the cheek, and then you're actually drilling between there. Then you feed the wire through. Okay, so you bring your wire through the cheek, then you pull the wire through there, and then you bring it through and you bring it forward, and then you actually tighten it up. And if you look here, you can see.
Oh, it's a spin method.
Yeah, you've got a loop now, and then you actually just spin it like you would do a.
What are the risks of infection?
No, they're there. There was grass, there was mud and everything in the fracture. So there were high risks, but look, the challenge was really to try and stabilize it enough that he could actually eat. All right?
Did he start eating?
Very soon, because they eat with the back teeth as well. So the fact that the front was out of play, you could still eat.
What type? Did you have to give him a muesli type feed?
Correct. In the beginning, soft feed.
Soft feed.
And then very quickly, he actually went back to eating hay and lucerne.
And how long would the wires stay in for?
Well, we left them in 6 weeks.
As long as that?
Yeah.
And you've removed them?
We've removed them. Have a look at the next slide. And
okay. Let's
we'll
have a
see
look at
the
the
series
next slide.
of. That is just an indication of where the lower jaw was fractured.
This is the x-rays,
the red lines show the fracture lines, and the wires are obviously those that are put in place.
Okay, are there
more?
Keep coming with the slides. The next slide we're going to look at now, Rolf, you'll explain this to us. Here we go. Ooh.
Okay, you can see a lot of bruising there. And
are those your wires? Sorry, Rolf.
Yes, that's the wire you can see under the tongue there is the one that goes across the canine teeth, that touches.
Yes.
So I brought that fracture, those two sides together, and then I brought the front together with wire, and then I had to fix from the back.
Yeah. Next slide, please.
Okay,
that's you holding his tongue.
Yeah, I'm holding down. You can see the bruising now on the upper jaw.
Oh, is that? Oh,
yeah,
yes,
see that?
bluish.
Yeah, all
pink.
that red
yeah.
bruising.
What is that from? Your work or the fall?
No, from the fall.
From the fall,
yeah.
okay.
No, he was very swollen from the fall. A little bit from the surgery, but mainly from the fall.
Okay, are there more slides?
Yeah, I think they're coming through.
Put them through the slides, we can talk away. Okay, here we are wired up again. That's what you spoke about.
Yeah.
Now, he ate for 6 weeks with these wires.
Yeah, he did.
And did he lose much condition? Did Justin tell you?
Yeah, he lost a little bit, but not too badly. I think we were happy with him. You know, the risk of overfeeding in this state that they're in is that they get
Could
colic.
he walk and trot?
Oh, yeah. And that is also the nice thing in retrospect, is that he only injured his jaw. Yeah. Upper and lower jaw. He didn't damage his limbs, or
that's right.
He had no neck injury or anything like that. So that gave us hope. And there's just an image of the skeleton now with
Looks
the
like
wires
someone's
that
foot.
were in place. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Are there more slides?
I think that's probably just
That's-
post. I think
Right. The question I'm going to ask you, what the public's going to ask, what is the condition of the horse now?
well, he travelled back a couple of weeks ago with the rest of Justin String. I think the Monday after Gold Cup Day, he travelled back to the Cape. And I spoke to Justin this morning. He's back in work. He's happy with him, and he'll do fine. Yeah.
Divines must be thrilled.
Pat and Henry Devine, yeah, great. And I must really just say thank you to them, Pat and Henry, and to Justin. They gave the horse a chance. You know, we're always sitting in the background, and we are ready for an event that might occur or might not occur. And you just got to be prepared at all times. And here's an example. I was at the races. It just, things worked out. And then, most importantly, he's a tough horse.
Yeah, that's the thing. Ralph, thanks very, very much for your time. It's very, very interesting. There we are. That's Ralph Katzwinkel, who sorted out Jet Explorer's jaw. Right, and here is the successful Magic Millions graduate this week, Royal Security Jet, again for Roy Moodley, who's having such a purple patch and won a good race the other day. Right, part two of our Your Call is, we've got Graham Hawkins, and Graham, we can ask him questions about what's happening at the Greyville precinct with regard to the racing surfaces, and of course Clarewood. Let's get that out of the way. Clarewood's gone. Scottsville to find out what they're doing with their track there. Graham, thanks very, very much. And a lot of people are asking questions and wondering what's going on. And obviously, let's start with the poly. You've got to be pleased the way it started.
Very much so, Paul. I think it's been a revelation for us. Obviously, we recognise it's early days, and obviously its sustainability depends on its maintenance regimes, and we're learning, even at this early stage. We're in constant communication with the guys from Poly, Peter Morrison here in South Africa. Kurt calls him every single race day. Kurt calls him obviously every single race day, and in terms of the preparation, we've already had tremendous variances in our weather and temperatures. Just a week ago it was 34 degrees, and the track did loosen up a little more than we would like. But we're learning about it, but it's been fantastic. And we're up to the 12 runners per race now, so it's all systems go. And while there will always be this or that, I think it has been pretty well accepted by all of racing stakeholders.
Yeah, just to tell people out there that you've got these machines that roll it up, you've got the tines that come through, they only go down to what, 1.5 inches or so?
Well, the depth depends on how you're trying to prepare the track. Obviously, therein lies the preparation of the track. You can loosen it up, you can firm it up depending on the circumstances, the temperatures, whether you're racing in the day, whether you're racing at night, whether there's been rain around. And I'm really looking forward, apart from the fact that we're so dry in any case, the driest winter I believe in more than 50 years here in Durban, I'm really looking forward to testing the poly track in those wet weather conditions.
After a deluge.
After a deluge. You know, that's one aspect of the poly track that hasn't yet been tested, is the drainage system, because we've had no rain. I'm happy to say that we're going to be getting water on it on a more consistent basis. We're bringing some lines through from Clarewood, so we'll be able to water the poly track in the absence of rain on a consistent basis. So that will also improve the performance of the poly track. So yes, to answer your question, we are very well pleased with the poly track at this early stage, recognizing that obviously the key to its ongoing popularity lies within the maintenance regimes.
Absolutely, and people are starting to get form lines now. They're starting to know what it, and the feedback's very good. Mainly the jockeys. Have the jockeys been on board?
The jockeys from the get-go have been on board. They love the surface, and most of the trainers, I certainly haven't heard anything negative from any of the trainers. The horses appear to be coming back very sound. That is the positive feedback that I'm getting from trainers who've run their horses on the poly, that the horses are enjoying it. And again, I guess at the end of the day, that's very important. The poly track has been sold around the world on the basis that it's kinder to horses. And all of the statistics worldwide, from the United States of America to Australasia, support the view that synthetic tracks are the safest and the kindest of all of the racing surfaces on horses. And that certainly seems to be the early feedback from trainers as well.
Yeah, that certainly does seem to be it. So we're well pleased with that surface. Let's move on to the flack we've taken with our courses. Obviously, with the closing of Clarewood, the demand has been higher for our other two tracks. And the purists out there are saying for the next 6, 8, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, we're not going to have turf racing. Is that correct?
That is correct, Paul, because obviously, as you know, last year Scottsville did not have a spring treatment. It was impossible to do that and keep racing while we were developing Greyville. We weren't able to race at Greyville as much as we would have liked because of the construction of the polytrack and other facilities here at Greyville. So we had to skip the spring treatment at Scottsville, and I think the guys out there did a fantastic job. The late Enos Majola was fantastic. His successor, Stembisa Dlamini, who was thrown in at the deep end, has certainly risen to the challenge, but the track is tired.
Yeah.
We'll have the race meetings of the 7th and the 14th, those 2 Sunday meetings, which are big charity meetings. I was out at Scottsville last Wednesday. It's greened up nicely. It's come back strong, thick, healthy Kikuyu, but there are patches because the track is tired, so it needs its spring treatment this year, and it'll be closed from the 15th of September for about 8 weeks. Yeah. And the Greyville grass track, which we'll chat about now in a moment, is scheduled only to come back in about November, and as a consequence for that interim period, we'll be racing on the polytrack. But I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. We're going to try and split as many races as possible to cater for the demand. We've upped the number of fixtures here in KwaZulu-Natal to a record 116 for the coming year, and consistent night racing, which is part of our strategy going forward, part of our vision.
Friday night?
Kicks in on the 19th of September. We race every single Friday night.
Till April.
Till the end of April.
That's a fantastic thing. So racing on Friday night, you'll know, get to the Big G, get down here, and you can have a great day.
To Greyville, it's Friday.
Greyville
TGIF.
is Friday. TGIF.
Greyville after dark, Greyville under lights, lighting up Greyville, whatever.
Okay.
We'll come up with the right...
Just, I was trying to compare the 2 treatments now. You're doing a spring treatment, which is a thing that's done every year. That's been done at Scottsville. Now, you come to Greyville, we've taken flack. There are certain areas that aren't correct. You've got a completely new procedure, a longer time. What are you actually doing?
We've been a lot more aggressive this year, obviously. Part of the flack is the undulations at Greyville, not just the wear and tear. We have ongoing issues with the wear and tear at Greyville, mainly in the straight because of the shadow of the grandstand. But what we've done is we did a very deep scarification. We took it right down and then put 25 mils of silica sand over the top.
Can I interrupt you just to let the public know? A deep scarification. Do you actually go...
We go right down so we cut virtually everything off it.
Okay, so it's clean.
You're shaving it off the top. I guess an analogy would be a number 1 haircut as opposed to what you and I might normally go and have.
Okay, so from
so we took it right down.
Okay.
And
what do you do when that's right down?
Well, the first thing we did was put a layer of 25 millimeters of fresh, new, washed, heated, clean, treated silica sand. And we used a paving machine for that, which was an experience to watch. And that was an attempt to get the track, and hopefully we succeeded in getting the track absolutely level. As that was happening, so we were verti draining the track, and we're now about ready to overseed the track with kikuyu seed, and we'll be introducing about 500,000 kikuyu plugs in the various areas that require it. Obviously, where we had undulations and the pipes were laid, we actually had to slice the track to get it absolutely level. And for that reason, we require more time at Greyville to get it right. And to be quite honest, we're targeting the beginning of November, but if the track is not ready, we won't come back until we're absolutely happy that it's ready. And obviously going forward, given that the turf track is now narrowed and our opportunities for spreading the wear and tear through the use of false rail is curtailed a little bit, we are not going to race as often on the turf track here as Greyville as in the past. I mean, I think that's stating the obvious. At Scottsville, because of the inherent good condition of the turf, we're just doing a nice scarification. We're doing a top dressing of silica sand, but we don't have to do the kikuyu overseed or introduce as many plugs. It's going to be a lot easier to bring Scottsville back because it's inherently a very, very healthy track at this stage.
So with regard to tracks, you're in a good space.
Yeah, well, we're getting there. You know, part of the problem with Greyville is that we've got so many different types of grass that over the years have... for one reason or another been introduced, you know, and unfortunately the kikuyu is not as vibrant or as strong as it should be over the entire surface of the track. And we're hoping to achieve that with the kikuyu plugs and the kikuyu overseeding. Interestingly, Paul, I was down at Turfentine over the last week assisting the National Horse Trust on Saturday with their fundraising efforts. And I was quite curious to see that the guys down there, Patrick Davis, Stan Diesel, and obviously on Stan's recommendation, have actually pulled up the 1,200 metre straight of the standside track completely. They've taken up all the grass, smoothed the track out, dealt with all of the undulations and the unevenness in the track, and are laying instant lawn back onto the surface even as we speak. And this was something that we contemplated for Greyville, and it's something that might still have to happen in the future at Greyville. So we're very interested bystanders, observers, if you like, of what is happening at Turfentine right now, to see how quickly that comes back, because essentially you're laying a carpet of grass over this over the sand which has been leveled off and introduced at Turfentine, and it's a matter of how long it takes for the root structure to actually make sure that that grass is stable, because obviously if you come back too early and the root structure is not strong enough, it's just going to fly the grass up. So I know they're pretty optimistic that, you know, if the weather conditions play ball, that they'll be racing on that stand-side track in time for their season. And if that is so, it would be it would open up other opportunities for us to consider going forward as well.
Last thing, Graham, on the 27th, Clarewood, there's that auction of a lot of the things that have been used over the year. A good auction for people to get to?
I would think so. There's, you know, obviously, you know, we have obviously salvaged, if you like, all of the stuff from Clarewood that we need for ongoing operations, and also a lot of the memorabilia, because we intend in the not too distant future, hopefully, of introducing a museum here at Greyville, just to recall the past and make sure that the legacy of Clarewood is always with us. The racing stopped there, as you know, on the 2nd of August. We've got to be out by next Sunday, the 31st of August. Most of the horses have left and gone to Summerveld. The last lot go this week, and the auction on Wednesday does present an opportunity for buyers to salvage their own little bit of memorabilia out of Clarewood, but also obviously there's various things being sold. There's a whole long list of catalogue items that Derek Martin is going to sell on our behalf. So yeah, Clarewood would be the place to be on Wednesday.
Graham, thank you very, very much for your time. Wonderful to update people. And don't forget, 2 of the horses that moved up from Clarewood and got relocated to Greyville, one on the poly track this week. So it augurs well. It's Paul Lafferty for Your Call.